Hello, I'm Dr. Linda Eckert, and I'm a professor of obstetrics and gynecology at the University of Washington in Seattle. And today we're going to talk about vaccine communication for the obstetrician-gynecologist, specifically office administration strategies that might lead to helping us all increase our vaccination rate in our patient population. So what we want to do as providers is try to create a culture of immunization. Now, immunizing is relatively new for us. We got the first indication for flu vaccine in pregnancy about over a decade ago, and then Tdap now, and of course the HPV vaccine. And so all of these vaccines and the idea of seeing ourselves as vaccinators is relatively new in our practice world compared to pediatrics, for example. And so what can we do to try to shift and create a culture of immunization in our offices? And I'm going to bring up these points that have been studied and shown to be efficacious in research trials for increasing immunization rates in practices. The first one that may seem obvious or not is to educate your nurse, your MAs, your front desk staff. There have been studies that have been shown that, for instance, for the safety of flu vaccine in pregnancy, over 50% of MAs in offices felt like the flu vaccine would not be safe to be used during pregnancy. So as providers of care to women, I think it behooves us all to do simple in-services. These might only take 10 minutes over a lunch, over a business meeting or something, to educate the people in our office as to the safety of vaccines and why we're using vaccines, and to get everybody on board to help understand why immunizing our patients is important. Similarly, if we're in a practice that might be multicultural, that might use interpreters or caseworkers, to educate them also. I know I work in a clinic that has over 20 different languages spoken, and during the H1N1 pandemic, when we were working so hard to get all of our pregnant women vaccinated, we had special teaching sessions for our interpreters or our caseworkers to try to increase their knowledge so that as they interface with their community, they could also be a source of advocacy for receiving vaccines. With the advent of electronic medical records, it's now possible, of course, to have prompts that remind us, oh, 28 weeks, has this patient gotten their Tdap? Or also sticky notes that we can use to help us remember to immunize. And these can be very helpful and have been shown to increase immunization rates. Vaccinate office staff. If our office staff is vaccinated and has received vaccines, then again, they're going to be talking to the patients in a more favorable way and say, no, that flu vaccine, it didn't really hurt, it was okay. And of course, it's recommended by the ACIP to have your office staff for patient safety. So there are many reasons why you should get your office staff vaccinated. Another thing that can really help creating a culture of immunization is just to put simple signs, you know, talking about flu vaccine happens here, or Tdap vaccine will be given to all pregnant women, or so forth, at your front desk, so that people know as they check in, as they're coming, oh, vaccinations, that happens in this clinic, okay, I'm going to be thinking about that, oh, people might be talking to me about that. And that's a very simple, cheap, easy way to just try to improve the visibility of the role of vaccination in your patient population. And similarly, if you do all these things, you empower your MAs and your nurses, your front desk staff, to be advocate for vaccines. And this will help because, as we all know, our ancillary staff in our offices may well spend more time with our patients than we do individually. And so getting everybody on board, helping your MAs to help you remember, oh, this so-and-so needs their flu vaccine, can make us all better providers of care for women. In that regard, we also need to make sure that our patient vaccine records are kept up to date. This again helps all of the people working with us, such as our nurses and our MAs, to realize who needs vaccinations and who doesn't. Consider standing orders. So standing orders that have been signed by you have been shown to be a very effective tool for increasing immunization. And it will also help save you time in your office to not be writing your name all the time or creating all those electronic records. And lastly, you want to set up a vaccine champion in your office. So what is a vaccine champion? The vaccine champion is that person in your office who's responsible for administrating the technical aspects of your vaccine program. They're going to order your vaccines and make sure they're in stock. They're going to have the refrigerator, measure the temperature in the refrigerator and log that. They're going to make sure the billing procedures and the coding are in place. And it's been shown that if you have a vaccine champion, it almost doesn't matter whether it's a nurse, whether it's an MA, whether it's an office manager, whoever that vaccine champion is, and if they are empowered to be the person that's in charge of making sure the vaccines, the whole chain of going through vaccines goes well in your clinic, then that definitely increases the success rate of immunization in your clinic. And another thing that we are called to do as providers is to provide a vaccine information statement. So a vaccine information statement, these are made by the CDC. Here's the one on Tdap. And essentially this is given to each patient when they get their vaccines. There's one for each vaccine that's recommended by ACIP. And you can go to the cdc.gov website and pull these off and copy them. And there is a national insurance plan that's set up for vaccine complications. So when we give our patients vaccines, if there's an issue, we are insured. But we are only insured if we followed standard practices as recommended by the ACIP. And one of those practices is to give everybody this vaccine information statement. They are also available in several languages if you have a multicultural practice. Lastly, I just want to let you know that there are a lot of office delivery how-tos that are available to help you. The American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology has this wonderful website, immunizationforwomen.org, which has established a lot of procedural and business practices, coding tips, and so forth that will help you make sure that you're running your office as well as you can for immunizations. It's a very valuable website, not only for specific information about vaccines, but for the business aspect of administering vaccines. And so I would really encourage you to access this. You don't have to go this alone. Specifically also on this website, there are toolkits available for Tdap, for flu, for HPV vaccine, how to have these conversations, and again, how to code for them, how to think about ordering, what are the roles of this vaccine champion. And so just know that you're not alone. There's help available, and the American College of OB-GYN has this award-winning website that can be quite useful. And so I would encourage you to use it. Hopefully these tips, as well as other tips you may find on that website, will encourage you and let you know that it's quite possible to run a very successful vaccine program in your office. It's great patient care. And it means that you're definitely following the guidelines that have been set for us for how to provide care to our patients. Thank you very much.